Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. We're taking a trek through the Srimad-Bhagavatam, what we've been reading for the last year and a half, here with some sincere seekers and close family, our spiritual family, here in Folkestone, in the live studios, Hode Farm, in between Folkestone and Canterbury, here at Wisteria College. It's actually a converted barn, but it's very nice, in case you didn't notice when they're circulating the camera around, when you see how nice it is. Okay, let's get right into it. Welcome to all of you out there in cyberspace. I hope you're all happy and having holidays and a marathon success, distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. Okay, let's hear Srila Sanatana Goswami's prayer to the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is sweet and glorious and deep, can help us to understand what we're reading very nicely, help us to meditate properly. From the Sri Krishna Lila Stava, it's called Srimad-Bhagavata Mahima Stotram, and it goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vidaika Satpala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja, Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidwandodita Ditya, Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya, Prema Varshakshadayate, Sarvada Sarvasevyaya, Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin, Madguru Man Mahadana, Man Nishtadaka Mad Bhagya, Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadutadayin, Adini chochatakara, Hanamun chagadachin mam, Prim narit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, we reached the 61st chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. We just heard how Krishna was able to get a rise out of Rukmini. Well, he tried. It didn't quite work. She took him in the wrong way and fainted, and then Krishna realized he had blown it, basically. So he pacified her, and then she answered all of his so-called deprecatory, self-deprecatory statements, trying to convince her in jest to find another husband. And she just answered every one of his points so beautifully. and prove to him that she was the one that wasn't qualified and he was the one that was qualified. So beautiful and deep purports. You can learn a lot about how to have a proper relationship, husband and wife, by hearing these chapters. Now we're moving on. Chapter 61. Lord Balaram slays Rukmi. Remember Rukmi? He was the older brother of Rukmini, who wanted to marry her to Shishupal. You know, Krishna's, well, nobody's Krishna's enemy really, but somebody who didn't like Krishna very much. Let's put it that way. He was either Jai or Vijay before Shishupal. Okay, chapter 61. This chapter lists Lord Krishna's sons, grandsons, and other progeny. It also describes how Lord Balaram killed Rukmi at Aniruddha's marriage ceremony, and how Lord Krishna arranged for his sons and daughters to be married. Not understanding the full truth about Sri Krishna, each of his wives thought that since he remained constantly in her palace, she must be his favorite wife. This is Krishna's transcendental intelligence and potency. They were all entranced by the Lord's beauty and his loving conversations with them, but they could not agitate his mind with the charming gestures of their eyebrows or by any other means. Having attained as their husband Lord Krishna, whom even demigods like Lord Brahma find it difficult to know in truth, the Lord's queens were always eager to associate with him. Thus, although each of them had hundreds of maidservants, they would personally render him menial service. Each of Lord Krishna's 10 wives had 10 sons, who in turn each fathered many sons and grandsons. In the womb of Rukmi's daughter, Rukmavati, Pradyumna fathered Aniruddha. Though Sri Krishna had disrespected Rukmi, to please his sister Rukmini, Rukmi gave his daughter in marriage to Pradyumna and his granddaughter to Aniruddha. Bali, the son of Kritavarma, married Rukmini's daughter Chandramati. At Aniruddha's wedding, Lord Baladev, Sri Krishna, and other Yadavas went to Rukmi's palace in the city of Bojakata. After the ceremony, Rukmi challenged Lord Baladev to a game of dice. In the first match, Rukmi defeated Baladev, whereupon the king of Kalinga laughed at the Lord. Oops. Displaying all his teeth. Oops. Lord Baladev won the next match, but Rukmi refused to concede defeat. A voice then spoke from the sky, announcing that Baladev had in fact won. But Rukmi, encouraged by the wicked kings, offended Lord Baladev by saying that while he was certainly expert at tending cows, he knew nothing about playing dice. Thus insulted, Lord Baladev angrily struck Rukmi dead with his club. The king of Kalinga tried to flee, but Lord Baladev seized him and knocked out all his teeth. Then the other offensive kings, their arms, thighs, and hands wounded by Baladev's blows, fled in all directions, bleeding profusely. Sri Krishna expressed neither approval nor disapproval of his brother-in-law's death, fearing that he would jeopardize his loving ties with either Rukmini or Baladev. Krishna's pretty smart, master at diplomacy. Lord Baladeva and the other Yadavas then seated Aniruddha and his bride on a fine chariot, and they all set off for Dwarka. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, each of Lord Krishna's wives gave birth to 10 sons, who were not less than their father, having all his personal opulence. Purport. Lord Krishna had 16,108 wives. And thus this verse indicates that the Lord begot 161,080 sons. Text 2. Because each of these princesses saw that Lord Achyuta never left her palace, each thought herself the Lord's favorite. These women did not understand the full truth about him. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur notes that Lord Krishna would leave the palaces only with the permission of his wives, and thus each one considered herself his favorite. Text 3. The Supreme Lord's wives were fully enchanted by his lovely lotus-like face, his long arms and large eyes, his loving glances imbued with laughter, and his charming talks with them. But with all their charms, these ladies could not conquer the mind of the all-powerful Lord. Purport. The previous verse stated that Lord Krishna's queens could not understand the truth of the Lord. This truth is explained in the present verse. The Lord is all-powerful, full in himself, with infinite opulence. Text 4. The arched eyebrows of these 16,000 queens enchantingly expressed those ladies' secret intentions through coyly smiling sidelong glasses. Thus their eyebrows boldly sent forth conjugal messages. Yet even with these arrows of Cupid, and with other means as well, they could not agitate Lord Krishna's senses. Text 5. Thus these women obtained as their husband the master of the goddess of fortune, although even great demigods like Brahma do not know how to approach him. With ever-increasing pleasure, they felt loving attraction for him, exchanged smiling glances with him, eagerly anticipated associating with him in ever-fresh intimacy, and enjoyed in many other ways. Purport. This text describes the intense conjugal attraction the queens felt for Lord Krishna. Text 6. Although the Supreme Lord's queens each had hundreds of maidservants, they chose to personally serve the Lord by approaching him humbly, offering him a seat, worshipping him with excellent paraphernalia, bathing and massaging his feet, giving him pan to chew, fanning him, anointing him with fragrant sandalwood paste, adorning him with flower garlands, dressing his hair, arranging his bed, bathing him, and presenting him with various gifts. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami explains that Shukadeva Goswami is so eager to describe these glorious pastimes of the Lord with his queens that he has repeated these verses. That is, text 5 of this chapter is almost identical with text 44 of the 59th chapter in this canto, and text 6 is identical with text 45 of that chapter. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the term varahana, excellent offerings, indicates that the queens offered the Lord palmfuls of flowers, pushpanjali, and palmfuls of jewels, ratnanjali. Text 7. Among Lord Krishna's wives, each of whom had 10 sons, I previously mentioned 8 principal queens. I shall now recite for you the names of those 8 queens' sons, headed by Pradyumna. Text 8 and 9. The first son of Queen Rukmini was Pradyumna, and also born of her were Charodeshna, Sudeshna, and the powerful Charodeha, along with Sucharu, Charugupta, Bhadracharu, Charuchandra, Vicharu, and Charu, the 10th. None of these sons of Lord Hari was less than his father. Text 10 to 12. The 10 sons of Satyabhama were Bhanu, Subhanu, Svarbhanu, Prabhanu, Bhanuman, Chandrabhanu, Brihadbhanu, Atibhanu, the 8th, Sribhanu, and Pratibhanu. Samba, Sumitra, Purujit, Shatajit, Sahasrajit, Bijay, Chitraketu, Vasuman, Dravida, and Kratu were the sons of Jambavati. These 10, headed by Samba, were their father's favorites. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami translates the compound Pitri Samata in this verse as highly regarded by their father. The word also indicates that these sons, like the others already mentioned, were regarded as being just like their glorious father, Lord Krishna. Text 13. The sons of Nagdajiti were Vira, Chandra, Ashwasena, Chitragu, Begavan, Brisha, Ama, Shanku, Vasu, and the opulent Kunti. Text 14. Shuta, Kavi, Vrisha, Vira, Subahu, Bhadra, Shanti, Darsha, and Purnamasa were sons of Kalindi. Her youngest son was Somaka. Text 15. Madra's sons were Pragosh, Gatravan, Singha, Bala, Prabala, Urdaga, Mahashakti, Saha, Oja, and Aparajita. Purport. Madra is also known as Lakshmana. Text 16. Mitravinda's sons were Vrika, Harsha, Anila, Gridra, Vardhana, Unada, Mahansa, Pavana, Bani, and Chudi. Text 17. Sangramajit, Brihatsena, Shura, Praharana, Arijit, Jaya, and Subhadra were the sons of Bhadra, along with Vama, Ayur, and Satyaka. Text 18. Diptiman, Tamratapta, and others were the sons of Lord Krishna and Rohini. Lord Krishna's son Pradyumna fathered the great powerful Aniruddha in the womb of Rukmaviti, the daughter of Rukmi. O king, this took place while they were living in the city of Bojakata. Purport. Lord Krishna's 8 principal queens are Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, Nagdajiti, Kalindi, Lakshmana, Mitravinda, and Bhadra. Having mentioned all their sons, Shukadeva Goswami now refers to the sons of the other 16,100 queens by mentioning the 2 principal sons of Queen Rohini, the foremost of the remaining queens. Text 19. My dear king, the sons and grandsons of Lord Krishna's children numbered in the tens of millions. Boy, family reunion, huh? 16,000 mothers gave rise to this dynasty. Text 20. King Parikshit said, how could Rukmi give his daughter to his enemy's son? After all, Rukmi had been defeated by Lord Krishna in battle and was waiting for an opportunity to kill him. Please explain this to me, O learned one, how these two inimical parties became united through marriage. Text 21. Mystic yogis can perfectly see that which has not yet happened, as well as things in the past or present, beyond the senses, remote or blocked by physical obstacles. Purport. Here King Parikshit encourages Shukadev Goswami to explain why Rukmi gave his daughter to Lord Krishna's son, Pradyumna. The king stresses that since great yogis like Shukadev Goswami know everything, the sage must also know this and should explain it to the anxious king. Text 22. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, at her Swayamvara ceremony, Rukmavati herself chose Pradyumna, who was the re-embodiment of Cupid. Then, although he fought alone on a single chariot, Pradyumna defeated the assembled kings in battle and took her away. 23. Though Rukmi always remembered his enmity toward Lord Krishna, who had insulted him, in order to please his sister, he sanctioned his daughter's marriage to his nephew. Purport. The answer to King Parikshit's question is given here. Ultimately, Rukmi approved his daughter's marriage to Pradyumna in order to please his sister, Rukmini. 24. O king, Bali, the son of Kritavarma, married Rukmini's younger daughter, large-eyed Charamati. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami explains that each of the Lord's queens had one daughter, and that this mention of Charamati's marriage is an indirect reference to the marriages of all these princesses. 25. Rukmi gave his granddaughter, Rochana, to his daughter's son, Aniruddha, despite Rukmi's relentless feud with Lord Hari. Although Rukmi considered this marriage irreligious, he wanted to please his sister, bound as he was by the ropes of affection. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami explains that according to worldly standards, one should not give one's beloved granddaughter to the grandson of one's bitter enemy. Thus we find the following injunction. Dvishad anam na bhoktavyam, dvishantam naiva bhojayet. One should not eat an enemy's food or feed an enemy. There is also the following prohibition. Asvargyam lokavidvishtam dharmam apyachaden natu. One should not execute religious injunctions if they will obstruct one's journey to heaven, or if they are odious to human society. It should be pointed out here that Lord Krishna is not really the enemy of anyone. As the Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richjati. One achieves peace by understanding that I am the well-wishing friend of every living being. Although Lord Krishna is everyone's friend, Rukmi could not appreciate this fact and considered Lord Krishna his enemy. Still, out of affection for his sister, he gave his granddaughter to Aniruddha. Finally, we should note that contrary to the prohibition quoted above, one may not give up the basic principles of spiritual life merely because such principles are unpopular with people in general. Note, we're not trying to please the people in general, we're trying to please Krishna and our spiritual master and the previous acharyas. As Lord Krishna states in the Gita 1866, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. The last word in spiritual duties is to surrender to the Supreme Lord. And that duty takes precedence over all secondary injunctions. Moreover, in this age, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has kindly presented a sublime process that will attract all sincere people to come to the point of surrendering to the Lord. By following Lord Chaitanya's blissful process of chanting, dancing, feasting, and discussing spiritual philosophy, anyone can easily go back home, back to Godhead, for an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Still, someone may argue that the members of the Krishna consciousness movement should not practice in the Western countries those ceremonies or activities that displease people in general. We respond that even in the Western countries, when people are properly informed of the activities of the Krishna consciousness movement, they generally appreciate this great spiritual institution. Those who are especially envious of God will not appreciate any type of religious movement. And since such persons are themselves little better than animals, they cannot impede the great Krishna consciousness movement, just as the envious Rukmi could not impede the performance of Lord Krishna's pure pastimes. So this is pretty clear in this purport. Prabhupada saying that we're not trying to please the public. Because if the goal is to please the public, Prabhupada said, you can run around naked with a lampshade on your head and attract a lot of people, or bark like a dog, and sell tickets. Text 26. On the joyous occasion of that marriage, O King, Queen Rukmini, Lord Balaram, Lord Krishna, and several of the Lord's sons, headed by Samba and Pradyumna, went to the city of Bojagata. 27 and 28. After the wedding, a group of arrogant kings, headed by the king of Kalinga, told Rukmi, "You should defeat Balaram at dice." He's not expert at dice, O king, but still, he is quite addicted to it. Thus advised, Rukmi challenged Balaram and began a gambling match with him. Text 29. In that match, Lord Balaram first accepted a wager of 100 coins, then 1,000, then 10,000. Rukmi won this first round, and the king of Kalinga laughed loudly at Lord Balaram, showing all his teeth. Inwardly became quite angry when he saw the gross offense of the king of Kalinga. Text 30. Next, Rukmi accepted a bet of 100,000 coins, which Lord Balaram won. But Rukmi tried to cheat, declaring, "I'm the winner." Text 31. Shaking with anger like the ocean on the full moon day, handsome Lord Balaram, his naturally reddish eyes even redder in his fury, accepted a wager of 100 million gold coins. Lord Balaram fairly won this wager also, but Rukmi again resorted to cheating and declared, "I have won. Let these witnesses here say what they saw." Purport. Rukmi undoubtedly had his friends in mind when he called for the witnesses to speak. But even when as his witnesses prepared to aid their cheating friend, a wonderful event took place, as described in the next verse. Text 33. Just then, a voice from the sky declared, Balaram has fairly won this wager. Rukmi is surely lying. We need one of these things in the Parliament and Congress in America right now. A voice from the sky would help, right? Urged on by the wicked kings, Rukmi ignored the divine voice. In fact, destiny itself was urging Rukmi on, and thus he ridiculed Lord Balaram as follows. 35. Rukmi said, "You cowherds who wander about the forests know nothing about dice. Playing with dice and sporting with arrows are only for kings, not for the likes of you." 36. Thus insulted by Rukmi and ridiculed by the kings, Lord Balaram was provoked to anger. In the midst of the auspicious wedding assembly, he raised his club and struck Rukmi dead. 37. The king of Kalinga, who had laughed at Lord Balaram and shown his teeth, tried to run away, but the furious Lord quickly seized him on his 10th step and knocked out all his teeth. Text 38. Tormented by Lord Balaram's club, the other kings fled in fear, their arms, thighs, and heads broken, and their bodies drenched in blood. Text 39. When his brother-in-law Rukmi was slain, Lord Krishna neither applauded nor protested, O king, for he feared jeopardizing his affectionate ties with either Rukmini or Balaram. Text 40. Then the descendants of Dashara, headed by Lord Balaram, seated Aniruddha and his bride on a fine chariot and set off from Brojakata for Dwarka. Having taken shelter of Lord Madhusudana, they had fulfilled all their purposes. Purport. Even though Rukmini was very dear to all the Dasharas, her brother Rukmi had constantly opposed and insulted Krishna since Rukmini's wedding. Thus, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, the associates of Lord Krishna could hardly lament Rukmi's sudden demise. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 61st chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Balaram Slays Rukmini. Jai Baladev Ki Jai. The club, Komodiki. The club of Lord Balaram Ki Jai. Jai Rukmini Devi Ki Jai. Okay, we're going to move on quickly. 62, the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha. This chapter recounts the meeting of Aniruddha and Usha, and also Aniruddha's battle with Banasura. Of the 100 sons of King Bali, the oldest was Banasura. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, who favored Bana so much that even demigods like Indra would serve him. Banasura once satisfied Shiva by playing musical instruments with his 1,000 hands, while Shiva danced in Tandava Nritya, his Tandava Nritya. In response, Lord Shiva offered Bana whatever benediction he chose, and Bana asked Shiva to become the guardian of his city. One day when Bana was feeling an urge to do battle, he told Lord Shiva, "Except for you, in the whole world there is no warrior strong enough to fight me. Therefore these 1,000 arms you've given me are merely a heavy burden." Angered by these words, Lord Shiva replied, "Your pride will be crushed in battle when you meet my equal. Indeed, your chariot flag will fall to the ground, broken. Banasura's daughter, Usha, once had an encounter with a lover in her sleep. Several nights in a row this occurred, until one night she failed to see him in her dreams. She suddenly awoke, speaking aloud to him in a state of agitation. But when she noticed her maidservants around her, she felt embarrassed. Usha's companion, Chitralekha, asked her who she had been addressing, and Usha told her everything. Hearing of Usha's dream lover, Chitraketu tried to relieve her friend's distress by drawing pictures of Gandharvas and other celestial personalities, as well as various men of the Vrishni dynasty. Chitralekha asked Usha to pick out the man she had seen in her dreams, and Usha pointed to the picture of Aniruddha. Chitralekha, who had mystic powers, knew at once that the Lord man, with the young Lord, knew at once that the young man her friend had pointed out was Lord Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha. Then, using her mystic powers, Chitralekha flew through the sky to Dwarka, found Aniruddha, and brought him back with her to Shonitapur, Banasura's capital. There, she presented him to Usha. Having obtained the man of her desires, Usha began serving him very affectionately within her private quarters, which were supposed to be strictly off limits to men. After some time, the female guards of the inner palace noticed symptoms of sexual activity on Usha's person, and they went to Banasura to inform him. Greatly disturbed, Banasura rushed to his daughter's apartments with many armed guards, and to his great surprise saw Aniruddha there. As the guards attacked him, Aniruddha took up his club and succeeded in killing a few before the powerful Bana could capture him with his mystic Nagapasha ropes, filling Usha with lamentation. Text 1. Sri Parikshit said, the best of the Yadus married Banasura's daughter, Usha, and as a result of a great fearsome battle occurred between Lord Hari and Lord Shankar. Please explain everything about this incident, O most powerful of mystics. Text 2. Shukadev Goswami said, Bana was the oldest of the 100 sons fathered by the great saint Bali Maharaj, who gave the whole earth in charity to Lord Hari when he appeared as Vamanadev. Banasura, born from Bali's semen, became a great devotee of Lord Shiva. His behavior was always respectable, and he was generous, intelligent, truthful, and firm in his vows. The beautiful city of Shonitapur was under his dominion. Because Lord Shiva had favored him, the very demigods waited on Banasura like menial servants. Once, when Shiva was dancing his Tandava Nritya, Bana especially satisfied the Lord by playing a musical accompaniment with his 1,000 arms. Text 3. The Lord and Master of all created beings, the compassionate refuge of his devotees, gladdened Banasura by offering him the benediction of his choice. Bana chose to have him, Lord Shiva, as the guardian of his city. Text 4. Banasura was intoxicated with his strength. One day, when Lord Shiva was standing beside him, Banasura touched the Lord's lotus feet with his helmet, which shone like the sun, and spoke to him as follows. Text 5. Banasura said, O Lord Mahadev, I bow down to you, the spiritual master and controller of the worlds. You are like the heavenly tree that fulfills the desires of those whose desires are unfulfilled. Text 6. These 1,000 arms you bestowed upon me have become merely a heavy burden. Besides you, I find no one in the three worlds worthy to fight. Purport. According to the Acharyas, Banasura's subtle implication here is this: and so when I have defeated you, Lord Shiva, my world conquest will be complete and my desire for battle satisfied. Text 7. Eager to fight with the elephants who rule the directions, O primeval Lord, I went forth pulverizing mountains with my arms, which were itching for battle. But even those great elephants fled in fear. Text 8. Hearing this, Lord Shiva became angry and replied, "Your flag will be broken, fool, when you have done battle with the one who is my equal, That fight will vanquish your conceit." Purport. Lord Shiva could have immediately chastised Banasura and personally destroyed his pride. But since Banasura had been such a faithful servant of his, Shiva did not do so. Text 9. Thus advised, unintelligent Banasura was delighted. The fool then went home, O king, to wait for that which Lord Girisha had predicted, the destruction of his prowess. Purport. Here Banasura is described as Kodi, having bad intelligence, and Kumati, foolish, because he completely misunderstood the actual situation. This demon was so arrogant that he was convinced no one could defeat him. He was delighted to hear that someone as powerful as Lord Shiva would come to fight with him and satisfy his itching for battle. Even though Shiva had said that this person would break Bana's flag and destroy his prowess, the demon was too foolish to care to take this statement seriously and eagerly awaited the fight. At the present moment, materialistic people are delighted by the many unprecedented facilities for sense gratification. Although it is clear that death, both individual and collective, is quickly approaching them, modern sense gratifiers are oblivious to their inevitable destruction. As stated in the Bhagavatam 2.1.4, Pashan api na pashyati. Even though their imminent destruction is apparent, they are too blind to see it, being intoxicated by sex enjoyment and family attachment. Similarly, Banasura was intoxicated with his material prowess and could not believe that he was about to be cut down to size. Text 10. In a dream, Bana's daughter, the maiden Usha, had an enormous encounter with the son of Pradyumna, although she had never before seen or heard of her lover. Purport. The incidents now described will lead up to the fight predicted by Lord Shiva. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur quotes the following verses from the Vishnu Purana, which explain Usha's dream. Usha Banasuta Vipra Parthatim Parvatim Shambhuna Saha Kridantim Upalaksho Chai Spriham Chakre Tadashrayam. O Brahmana, when Usha, the daughter of Bana, happened to see Parvati playing with her husband, Lord Shambhu, Usha intensely desired to experience the same feelings. Tatak sakala chittagya goritam ahabhavinim alam atyartatapena bhartra tvam abhirangshase. At that time, goddess Gauri, Parvati, who knows everyone's heart, told the sensitive young girl, "Don't be so disturbed. You will have a chance to enjoy with your own husband." Ityukta satada chakre kadite matimatmana kova bharta mamanyenam punar apyaha Parvati. Hearing this, Usha thought to herself, "But when and who will my husband be?" In response, Parvati addressed her once more. Vaishakha shukladvadrasham swapneyo bibhavantava karishyati sati bharta rajaputri bhavishyati. The man who approaches you in your dream on the 12th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Vishakha will become your husband, O princess. Pretty exact science, this astrology. Text 11. Losing sight of him in her dream, Usha suddenly sat up in the midst of her girlfriends, crying out, "Where are you, my lover?" She was greatly disturbed and embarrassed. Purport. Coming to her senses and remembering that she was surrounded by her girlfriends, Usha was naturally very embarrassed to have cried out in that way. At the same time, she was disturbed by attachment to the beloved man who had appeared in her dreams. 12. Banasura had a minister named Kumbhanda, whose daughter was Chitralekha. A companion of Usha's, she was filled with curiosity, and thus she inquired from her friend. Text 13. Chitralekha said, "Who are you searching for, O fine-browed one? What is this hankering you're feeling? Until now, O princess, I haven't seen any man take your hand in marriage." 14. Usha said, "In my dream I saw a certain man who had a dark blue complexion, lotus eyes, yellow garments, and mighty arms. He was the kind who touches women's hearts." 15. It is that lover I search for. After making me drink the honey of his lips, he has gone elsewhere, and thus he has thrown me, hankering fervently for him, into the ocean of distress. Text 16. Chitralekha said, I will remove your distress. If he is to be found anywhere in the three worlds, I will bring this future husband of yours who has stolen your heart. Please show me who he is. Purport. Interestingly, the name Chitralekha indicates a person skilled in the art of drawing or painting. Chitra means excellent or variegated, and Lekha means the art of drawing or painting. Chitralekha, as described in the following verse, will now utilize the talent indicated by her name. Text 17. Saying this, Chitralekha proceeded to draw accurate pictures of various demigods, Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charanas, Panagas, Daityas, Vijadaras, Yakshas, and humans. Text 18 and 19. O king, among the humans, Chitralekha drew pictures of the Vrishnis, including Shurasena, Anakudumbabi, Balaram, and Krishna. When Usha saw the picture of Pradyumna, she became bashful. And when she saw Aniruddha's picture, she bent her head down in embarrassment. Smiling, she exclaimed, "He's the one, it's him." Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti gives this further insight. When Usha saw the picture of Pradyumna, she became bashful because she thought, "This is my father-in-law." Then she saw the picture of her lover Aniruddha and cried out in joy. Text 20. Chitralekha, endowed with mystic powers, recognized him as Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha. My dear king, when she traveled by the mystic sky, she then traveled by the mystic skyway to Dwarka, the city under Lord Krishna's protection. Text 21. There she found Pradyumna's son, Aniruddha, sleeping upon a fine bed. With her yogic power, she took him away to Shunitapur, where she presented her girlfriend Usha with her beloved. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments as follows on this verse. It is stated here that Chitralekha resorted to mystic power, yogam astita, as explained in the Harivangsha and other literatures. She needed to employ her powers because when she arrived at Dwarka, she found herself unable to enter Lord Krishna's city. At that time, Sri Narada Muni instructed her in the mystic art of entering. Some authorities say that Chitralekha is herself an expansion of Yogamaya. Text 22. When Usha beheld him, the most beautiful of men, her face lit up with joy. She took the son of Pradyumna to her private quarters, which men were forbidden even to see, and there enjoyed with him. 23 and 24. Usha worshipped Aniruddha with faithful service, offering him priceless garments, along with garlands, fragrances, incense, lamps, sitting places, and so on. She also offered him beverages, all types of food, and sweet words. As she thus remained hidden in the young lady's quarters, Aniruddha did not notice as he thus remained hidden in the young lady's quarters. Aniruddha did not notice the passing of the days, for his senses were captivated by Usha, whose affection for him ever increased. 25 and 26. The female guards eventually noticed unmistakable symptoms of romantic involvement in Usha, who, having broken her maiden vow, was being enjoyed by the hero, Yadu hero, and showing signs of conjugal happiness. The guards went to Banasura and told him, "O king, we have detected in your daughter the kind of improper behavior that spoils the reputation of a young girl's family." Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti had defined the word bhata as female guards, whereas Jiva Goswami defines it as eunuchs and others. Grammatically, the word can function both ways. The guards feared that if Banasura found out about Usha's activities from some other source, he would severely punish them, and thus they personally informed him that his young daughter was no longer innocent. Text 27. We have been carefully watching over her never leaving our posts, O Master. So we cannot understand how this maiden, whom no man can even see, has been corrupted within the palace. Purport. The Acharyas explain that the word anapayibi can mean either never going away or never deluded. Also, if we take the alternate reading, dushpreshaya instead of dushprekshaya, the guards referred to Usha as she whose wicked girlfriend has been sent on a mission. Text 28. Very agitated to hear of his daughter's corruption, Banasura rushed at once to the maiden's quarters. There he saw the pride of the Yadus, Aniruddha. 29 and 30. Banasura saw before him Cupid's own son, possessed of unrivaled beauty, with dark blue complexion, yellow garments, lotus eyes, and formidable arms. His face was adorned with effulgent earrings and hair, and also with smiling glances. As he sat opposite his most auspicious lover, playing with her at dice, there hung between his arms a garland of spring jasmines that had been smeared with kumkum powder from her breasts when he had embraced her. Banasura was astonished to see all this. Purport. Banasura was amazed at Aniruddha's boldness. The prince was calmly sitting in the young girl's quarters, playing with Bana's supposedly unmarried daughter. In the context of the strict Vedic culture, this was an unbelievable thing to witness. Text 31. Seeing Banasura enter with many armed guards, Aniruddha raised his iron club and stood resolute, ready to strike anyone who attacked him. He resembled death personified, holding his rod of punishment. Purport. The club was not made of ordinary iron, but of a special kind called muru. 32. As the guards converged on him from all sides, trying to capture him, Aniruddha struck them just as the leader of a pack of boars strikes back at dogs. Hit by his blows, the guards fled the palace, running for their lives with shattered heads, thighs, and arms. 33. But even as Aniruddha was striking down the enemy of Bana, that powerful son of Bali angrily caught him with the mystic Nagapasha ropes. When Usha heard of Aniruddha's capture, she was overwhelmed with grief and depression. Her eyes filled with tears, and she wept. Purport. The Acharyas explain that Banasura could not actually capture the powerful grandson of Lord Krishna. However, the Lord's Leela Shakti, or pastime potency, allowed this to happen so that the events described in the next chapter could take place. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the humble servant of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, on the 10th canto, 62nd chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Meaning of Ani, Usha and Aniruddha. Jai Aniruddha ki Jai, Jai Prajumna ki Jai, Jai Shri Krishna ki Jai, Usha ki Jai. Okay, that's it from my reading. Hare Krishna, everybody. Now we have our magic moment, the magic open mic time. I wish I could shoot some. Oh, look. Radharaman has something to say already. I was hoping he would come out.
I got a little surprised because actually I'm just going to read out Mother Rati Manjara's reflection. She said, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for reading this ever-fresh wisdom with your beautiful uplifting voice full of compassion. What struck me in tonight's reading, after hearing about Banasura's 1,000 itching arms, is that one may be ever so powerful, but when one does not use this power in the service of Krishna, like Bhima and Arjuna did, but for one's own personal aggrandizement, one will only become frustrated, and the same talent will become the cause of one's downfall. Proof of this is that Banasura wanted to secretly attack his benefactor Lord Shiva, and the fool was happily waiting his own defeat.
Yes. Thank you. Very nice. That was very nice realization and reflection. Yeah, I mean, you can see, and what more. I mean, in addition, these people who become very powerful, they completely underestimate the power of the material energy. Not just Krishna, but even his energy. They completely underestimate it, and they think that they can do anything. And then they get smashed every single time. It's like that question that was asked by Yamaraj to Yudhishthira. What's the most wonderful thing? This is kind of like an adjunct to that question, that answer. You know, what's the most wonderful thing? Well, everyone's died before you, but you're thinking you're not going to die. Nobody does. And this is the same thing. You know, people who get so powerful they can't see that every single powerful person before them has died, what to speak of, become defeated. And yet they just think that they can go on forever. They don't even think about it. Power of Krishna's illusory energy. No one can overcome it. What does the Gita say? Krishna says in the Gita, there's not a single soul from the top to the bottom, from Brahma down to the ant, who is free from the influence of the three modes of material nature. Beginning of humility. Wait, Shamaguru is going to speak.
Also, people, well, not people like us, all of us, we have this thing that, we see that other people getting punished if they do something that is not correct, but we still think that I can get away with it.
Yeah.
I can do something that is not correct, and I'm clever enough to not get caught.
Yeah, that's called third class. First class person hears or sees or hears that if I do this, then I'm going to get punished. Then he doesn't do it. The second class person hears and sees that people are getting punished, and he doesn't anyway. And the third class person sees, hears, watches people get punished, and then gets punished, and then afterwards he still keeps doing it. After he gets out of prison or whatever, through with his punishment. Yeah. Like that, everything can be seen through the three modes of material nature.
So I was thinking that, is this Shonitapur, was that on earth? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember. It's a famous city, but I don't remember which one it is in India.
Okay.
It's in India.
Right. Okay. Just wondering whether this there's a lot of mystical things going on. Like even Chitralekha was drawing paintings of superhuman personalities. I thought.
Oh yeah, she was really expert.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was there in the earth.
Okay.
What else? What else? Yes, Priya Kund.
Hare Krishna. Just a simple question, Maharaj, from the previous chapter, where it says he was either empowered or enthused by destiny to act in that way. Could you explain what that means, please?
Yeah, it means that providence is the cause of all activities in this material world. So, depending on the mode of nature we're influenced by, we will be pushed to act in a certain way. Chipram bhavati dharmatma shashras chantim negachati kontya prijani name bhakti pranashati. Oh, that's a different one, I'm sorry. What is it? Just now the Sanskrit escapes me. It's at the beginning of the 3rd chapter, I think, where it says that everyone is controlled by the modes of nature and acts according to nature is required, and no one can stop from doing something, not even for a moment. So that lines up with what you just said. Can you repeat that again?
The question?
Yeah.
It's not verbatim, but it was along the lines of that he was empowered or enthused by destiny.
Yeah, empowered or enthused by destiny.
Mm-hmm.
So, it means just that. No one can, when one gets in nature, he gets born in a certain situation, beset by, attachments and situations, circumstances, and he's forced to act in that way. Sadrisham chashtate sasya prakritir jnanavanapi prakritim yantibhutani. That means, what can repression accomplish? Everyone has to act according to the nature that they have. They can use it for Krishna, and they still do different things for Krishna, and those things are born out of what they like to do or what they can do, what they're capable of doing. So providence acts on all spheres, in all levels, and to all people, except for the pure devotees of Krishna. And then they can step out of their, of the providential situations and choose, to serve Krishna. And that activity is not pushed by providence or destiny. It's pushed by the internal energy, by Krishna himself. But yeah, everybody, what is that verse? Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyita tattvavit pashan shrinvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachchan sapantrasan pralavan vishajan mijan unmishan nimishan api indriyan indriyartishu vartanta edidariyam. A person who's in the divine consciousness is, while he's eating and sleeping and raising his hands and moving about and evacuating and receiving and whatever he's doing, he knows that those things are being conducted by the modes of nature. So those things will be conducted by the modes of nature, and one who is actually Krishna conscious or liberated soul will watch it and know that it's done by the modes of nature and that he's aloof. But no one can escape the activities born of his nature. That's why you have such a variety devotees. Some are kings, some are paupers, some are great sages, some are, whatever. Even the Alvars, one was a thief, and he stole all this money and he built a part of the biggest temple in India, and he was a saint. And he wrote all these very lovely poems and prayers and things, and yet the way he served the Lord was to steal and take the money and use it all in building a big temple. There was this one story Prabhupada told. There were these travelers, they were traveling together like a tour party or something, and the one guy was a thief, and he couldn't help himself, he had to thief, but he didn't want to, it was a pilgrimage, so he didn't want to blow it. So what he did was he just, rearranged this luggage, took everybody's luggage over here, gave it to this one to that one, and everybody woke up, what's going on? And then he said, well, what can I do? I'm a thief by profession and I couldn't help myself, but I thought I'd rather just dovetail it like this rather than, I'm going to have to, he has to have some, what's the word? Yes. Yes, actually when they were talking to me about these things that are going to happen to me, one of the things I have to do, the two corrections that this hip thing is supposed to do, one is the pain and the other is the posture. Because I'm starting to walk more and more like this, and it's pushed by this condition. I don't even notice it, but when somebody looks at me, they see me gradually walking more like this. And he said, you ever seen those old men that are walking like this? He said, it's going to happen to you unless you do something. I became convinced immediately. I'm sorry, I'm getting us distracted. What else?
There's a reflection from, or a question actually from Dharma.
Yes, please.
He says, dear and respected Srila Guru Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. All glories to your holiness, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I am wondering what is the correct understanding of the information given in chapter 61, text 9, that none of the sons of Lord Hari were inferior to their father. Would you please explain? Your servant Dharnatai Das.
Yes, it's very simple. Like father, like son. The children tend to inherit the qualities of the parents. In a normal sense, it's due to the, the genes and the what's the word? It's genetic codes. But in Krishna's case, it's transcendental, and so they get the empowerment, and they become very powerful, like him. Not as powerful, but like him in quality. And that's why Krishna decided to take all of his dynasty with him when he left. Because his mission is to relieve the burden of the earth. And these guys were so powerful. And they were starting to kind of get charged up and fired up. Like, for instance, when Krishna came back from Hastinapur, was it Hastinapur? Anyway, he came back to Dwarka, and I think he came back from Hastinapur and Yudhishthira wanted to do the Rajasuya sacrifice. And the Yadus simultaneously were making battle plans to go and wipe Jarasandha off the face of the earth. Because they were like that. They were very powerful and they just wanted to use their arms in a transcendental way to help Krishna relieve the burden of the earth. But he thought these guys could become a bigger burden than anybody else because nobody could defeat them. So it's tied with the idea of how the sons became, as powerful as their father. The family, they were very powerful. Nobody could defeat them. There's so many stories of how all these big warriors with their armies came to do this or that, and the Yadus just turned around and just wiped them out. Every time. Barely getting anybody even hurt. They were so powerful. Because they were all like Krishna. They weren't, but they were very powerful. Not ordinary warriors, ordinary men. That's why Aniruddha, have we heard it yet? No, we haven't heard it yet. We'll hear it next chapter. He was so powerful, and he was like, anyway, he was powerful, but he was very young. And when he was caught, then, all these warriors came at him, and he just stood there, and he was battling by himself in the middle of all these big guys. Banasura was huge, 1,000 arms, big devotee of Lord Shiva, and he was just warding them off. He was like, and even they were appreciating. In the Vedic culture, even the warriors, if one warrior would do something great, it was like a big tennis star. He makes a shot or something, and the other guy goes, yeah, well done, it's like that. And it took he did some special thing. He tied him up with ropes of Varuna or something, some special thing. He had to take help from the demigods to capture Aniruddha. Otherwise, he was off. He was out of there. He was escaped. Does that answer the question?
He's not saying yet, but your answer brought up a question for me, which
Wait, one answer got another question.
Yeah.
That's encouraging.
This is a question I had thought about but never actually asked, which is, I was trying to understand how is it that these personalities, who were great personalities, were potentially so dangerous that Lord Krishna thought it was better that they all left. What's described in the 11th canto. I guess the thing it's difficult to understand is how such...
It's not clear what you just said. Say it again.
Or maybe put more simply, how could such advanced devotees be...
Who?
That are described, the ones described in the 11th canto, that Krishna decided that was just to wind up the whole Yadu dynasty.
So you're saying how the Yadu dynasty had become so...
Yeah, such a danger to the world.
Well, I just explained it. Because they were powerful, and they were all kind of thinking they were working for Krishna, and they're doing Krishna's bidding, but the world would become, overrun, and they would lord it over them, and perhaps even do damage. Krishna thought that. But that's not the only reason. That's just one reason.
Mm.
The other reason is he wanted to bring them back with him to Dwarka.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other places in the heavenly planets where they came from. So it's not just one thing, but it is a fact that was one of the considerations. There were many considerations, but that was one of them. And that's the story that I told about how they were planning to go and wipe out Jarasandha and, all of his, family and his dynasty. It was Krishna had a plan. It was a different plan. That's why he asked Uddhava, what do you think? And Uddhava came up with this very intricate, plan in which they could just kill like a surgical operation, just kill like special ops rather than all the infantry coming, Because what happens when they do that? So many people, it wouldn't have been very nice. And it's one thing when the soldiers go out into a field and battle it out, and just the ordinary people are saved. But if they come and siege a city, that's why Krishna, left and started Dwarka, because, the 18th time Jarasandha attacked was the same time that Kalyavana came with, I don't know how many million soldiers, 30 million soldiers or something like that. So, and Krishna, one of the reasons Krishna did that was because he was afraid they would come in, there would be just too many of them, and they would loot the place and, who knows, kill the citizens.
When they left Mathura and went to Dwarka.
Just a second.
So we heard that they left Mathura, Dwarka got constructed. But what happened with Mathura? They just left it empty, or something?
That's a very good question, because most of the citizens were gone, were taken. And not only the citizens, but the around in the area, most of them were gone. So when Parikshit became the king, he made Vajra the king of Mathura and that area. And but Vajra went to Parikshit and he said, who am I going to be the king of? There's nobody there. So then Parikshit said, no, you can bring them from other places. So the actual fact is, historically, is that there maybe have been a few Brahmins or something like that were there, that still stayed there. But in general, they all left, so they had to be repopulated. So the repopulated residents were not actually the descendants of the Brajvasis and Krishnas and that family. And and when Lord Chaitanya came, then that's very much later. That was, how many 4,000 years afterwards, and it was deserted. Yeah, there was practically none of the holy places were manifest, and he had to discover Radhakund and Shyamakund. They were just little ponds in the middle of a paddy field, basically. So he knew where it was, and he knew what it was, so he just went and took his bath there. And by doing that, he established Radhakund and Shyamakund. I got a little diverted, but that's the idea. Did it answer the question?
No.
It did?
Yeah, and he said so as well.
Or he did? Okay, good.
But it is what Krishna fearing might happen, which, like I said, was one reason why he removed them, other than the fact that he wanted to bring them back. Is it a similar idea to what we hear about in the 4th canto, where Dhruva Maharaj had to be restrained by Swayambhuva Manu?
It's kind of like that, but his idea was, as generations went, then they would forget, because that's what time does. But they would be so powerful, and their descendants would be so powerful, they wouldn't be able to be controlled, and they might have wreaked havoc on the earth. So he wanted to, finish the job, I guess you could say, finish his mission. Because it's a fact. Even, Krishna comes, and then after some time, everybody forgets. Lord Chaitanya comes, and the whole place becomes a light, and then after some time, people forget. And that's the fact. That's why we have to keep hearing, because if we don't, we'll forget. That's why even if we get absorbed in service, we have to hear enough, because if we don't, we'll forget. And we'll get weak spiritually, and we will become victims of the material energy, for sure. no matter who we are. It's after 7:30. I think we'll stop now, with the permission of the local residents. Priyakunda, it's so good to see you here. I'm so happy to see you here. It's like you're taking care of all of us and you and Shamagori are like taking care of all of us and sustaining us in so many ways. You know, when you're not here, the whole thing just falls flat. Everybody can say, we could take a vote, and you're not allowed to vote. It's true. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you so much, everyone, for being loyal hearers and chanters. Thank all of you here for your lovely reflections and questions. Thanks to Rati and Dalatai and everyone else who did questions. It's just, this is the nectar of life. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Just churning and stimulating our spiritual intelligence and going deeper and deeper and getting more and more attached to Krishna and Krishna's, family. So we can become his family. We are his family, but deeper family members, more intimate family members. Radha Hari Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you so much. All glories to Srimad-Bhagavatam. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Now, announcement. Wednesday, I have to go up. Priyakun has graciously agreed to drive me, even though he's been driving around the whole countryside, and he's probably too tired to do it, but he's going to do it anyway because he's such a loyal friend. And so on Wednesday, we're going up to Hereford. And I'm going to get a procedure done to try to reduce the pain in my hips. And perhaps this summer we'll have a hip replacement operation. But this is the first stage to see whether or not that's actually the problem. So that's going to happen. That's 4-hour drive, and with traffic could be more. And it's, the procedure is going to be done at 9 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to be driving 4 hours, 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take, but then 4 hours back, with traffic maybe coming back in some rush hour or something. So it could be that we won't have, our plan is to have the reading on Wednesday, despite that, what do you call it? Adventure. Thank you. So stay tuned. We'll send a message out if we're not going to have, but unless you see a message, we will have Wednesday at 6 o'clock, or maybe we'll push a little later, depending. But 6:30, something like that. Okay, that's it. Public announcements are finished. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, same place, same station. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hari Bol.